The following is a fan-based lore series. The Halo lore series is owned by 343 Industries and Microsoft. Please support the official release. Hey guys, what is going on? I'm Scout with 3 Guns Down, and this is another Halo lore series. Let's do some housekeeping. It's been a while, guys. First off, I was going to put questions at the end of this video as well with everything else that we're going to talk about today, but in the last bits of editing here in the last couple of days, I've been so sick and tired and worn out with everything else that I've been doing that I didn't have time to do that. So what I am going to do for the questions and answers from other videos, if you have any questions that have never been answered in a video before, even if they were, posted in another video, left unanswered, post them again in this video. Everything that pertains to the precursors, the Forerunners, the humans, everything before the detonation of the Halo rings that wiped out all life in the galaxy. Any questions that pertain to anything that point and back, put them down here below. I will have another separate video that will answer all those questions before we move into the timeline of the UNSC, Master Chief, the Covenant, and the Spartans. So like I said, any questions about that, right now, pause the video. If you remember you put a question on a video and it was never answered, go copy pasta that question down into these comments. Or if you have a new question that you've never thought of before, leave it down below as well. So that's the first thing you need you guys to do. Hopefully you've paused this video and you've gone and done that for me, so I have those questions, because the next video I have to do of this is going to be nothing but questions. And it's just going to be answers for everybody that I can, questions that I feel are more important. Next up on the housekeeping list, I'm going to try a different format with the Halo lore series videos, and let me know what you guys think about this. But after this video, starting in mid to late April, which is going to be the next Halo lore series, because I'm going to do a pretty big makeover of the Halo lore series. The Halo lore series videos will now be 5 to 10 minutes long, but you'll get one about every single week. And what's going to happen is I'm going to pick a single topic or subject, and I'm going to focus on that single topic or subject while I go throughout these videos. So that way we'll get more covered in shorter amounts of time. We'll get 4 whole things covered in a month, and we'll have one episode about Dr. Halsey, one about Master Chief, Cortana, the Spartans, the Covenant, and different races of the Covenant, and we'll break it down into subcategories even. So that's the plan for the Halo Lore series videos in the future. Now some straight up regular keeping. This YouTube channel is now going to be simply dedicated to lore series videos and nothing else. There will be highlights pulled in from Twitch, but those highlights take me 5 to 10 minutes to make at the most, and they're imported easily, require nothing else on my part. And that's going to be stuff pulled from Twitch. And in case you guys aren't familiar with Twitch, I'll go over with that in a few minutes. So that'll be stuff pulled over from Twitch. And other than that, everything else on this channel is going to be fully dedicated for the Halo lore series. Not only the Halo lore series, but I've decided, because I love doing lore series so much, I love getting into the deep backstories about things, I'm going to do more than just the Halo lore series. I'm really excited to announce that I'm going to start a Dark Souls 2 lore series. I know I'm kind of late in the game, but I love Dark Souls, I love Demon Souls, I love the lore behind them, I love the backstory and everything, and I love the fact that you have to dig and search for it to find everything, and there's just as much theory and ideas going out there and wild speculation as there is in the Halo lore series, if not more. So we are going to have a Dark Souls lore series, and that is going to accompany the Dark Souls 2 game coming out March 11th. That'll slowly be progressing as it comes out, and I plan to do the bits in the Dark Souls lore series much the same as I do the Halo lore series, 5 to 10 minute bits on a single subject. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below, if you'd enjoy the Dark Souls lore series or not. Really looking forward to what you guys think. And the last thing I want to announce, and it's a very, very far way off, but I love Bungie. Bungie has done no wrong in my opinion with Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, or Halo 1, 2, and 3. Reach might have been a slight bit of a misstep, but I completely ignore it. There was also Marathon. Bungie has been an absolutely wonderful developer. And Bungie is no longer developing Halo. Bungie is now developing Destiny. Destiny looks like an extremely exciting and promising game, and I am unbelievably excited for it to come out the end of this year. I've already decided, because I know it's going to be there, we are going to do a Destiny lore series. Now that is a long way off, but it will happen. And the last few things to talk about on this channel before we actually get into the meat and potatoes of this Halo lore series video is the Twitch. I've been putting a lot more time into Twitch outside of the YouTube now. Every Monday through Friday, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to midnight Eastern Standard Time, I'll be streaming. And I stream a variety of things. I stream Dark Souls, DayZ, first-person shooters, Counter-Strike, Titanfall. We just got done streaming South Park: The Stick of Truth. That was an awesome game. And on March 11th, I'll be having a 24-hour stream of Dark Souls 2 and Titanfall, 12 hours of each game. We'll start with Dark Souls, because I kind of need my brain the first 12 hours, and then Titanfall's more of a mindless first-person shooter, so I don't need my brain so much then. But please come check that out for us, guys. It'll be a lot of fun. It's twitch.tv/3gunsdown. You can also check out the Twitter and the Facebook for consistent updates with us all the time. I love to get on there and talk to you guys all the time. Any information about new things, it's always going to be posted there for you. And it's really, really appreciated if you would follow this for us. Even if you don't watch it, I'd appreciate the follow or the subscribe. To either one. It's going to help me do a lot more things in the future, a lot of affiliate accounts and things like that. Look at, well, how many Facebook likes do you have? Well, are you verified on Twitter? So it's really dependent on that. I'd love to start actually doing giveaways and stuff like that back into the YouTube channel, and back into the Twitch and things like that, because as much as you guys sit here and watch, I still want to give more back to you guys. I don't feel like making just the Halo lore series is enough. So all those links in the description below, as well as on the screen like I've showed you. So if you would please do those things for me, guys, it's highly, highly appreciated. Don't forget to come check out March 11th. We're going to start at 12:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Technically March 11th already, but it'll be that Monday night, I guess you could say. But it'll be early Tuesday morning, technically. So 12:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the 24-hour stream starts, and then just come hang out with us any other time, Monday through Friday, on the Twitch channel. It's going to be a lot of fun. Moving on into the Halo lore series. Now, there's a couple things that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Halo rings, and how they actually work, or don't work. As I was doing research further and further into the Halo rings, things got a bit weird. There was a lot of speculative theories as to how the Halo rings actually worked, but the Halo Encyclopedia actually cites as the Halo rings working by radiation. So this giant, massive super weapon uses radiation. And that's a problem. There are 7 Halo rings. Our galaxy is a 3-dimensional elliptical object, so it's kind of shaped like a disc. It's fat in the center, and then it gets thinner as it spreads out to the sides, and then it's a big long ellipse if you're looking at it from the top down, okay? If you equally space 7 Halo rings throughout the galaxy, we have 1 in the center, and then the easiest way to describe it without getting too crazy into the formula is you would have each one spaced about 2/3 out of the distance from the center to the edge of the galaxies all the way around, and that includes top and bottom and the 4 other sides. 1 in the center, that leaves 6 left. That's enough to cover the object, somewhat like a cube if you want to think it like that, with 6 sides, but it's an elliptical object. If we do it like that, and the formula that we used, which one of my professors helped me with, man's a mathematical genius, it takes 41,216 years for radiation to completely engulf our galaxy. So we're going to say 41,000 years, just to be rough estimate here. 41,000 years for the Halo arrays to wipe out all life in the galaxy. That's a little bit insane. That seems like not a very effective weapon. Why does that, like, it just doesn't make sense. 41,000 years? The Flood have grave mines, and these grave mines are loosely connected to each other so that they can communicate and orchestrate attacks together. Well, one grave mine would eventually realize that, hey, these others are dying off. I should probably get out of this galaxy. And then they would just jump to Slipspace and be gone. And there'd be nothing that the halo rays would be completely ineffective. Makes absolutely zero sense how the halo rays would work like that. They just don't. So how do the halo rays work then if they don't work by a single pulse of radiation? Because radiation travels at the speed of light, so you have to assume that it's traveling at the speed of light across our galaxy. It just doesn't work. No matter which way you look at it, even with 7 rings spaced at the best possible distance and configuration apart, 41,000 years, it takes you about 30 seconds to jump to Slipspace. So how else could the halo arrays work? Well, here's an interesting thought, and there's absolutely nothing nowhere to back this up. Whenever you're on the halos, this is especially noticeable in Halo Combat Evolved, you see these constructs that shoot these blue balls of energy up into the center of the ring, and they do so about every 5 minutes. Now, the more I thought about this, it got kind of weird. Why would they have something that's constantly pulsing through the halo rings about every 5 minutes? And if one halo ring's doing this, I'm assuming all halo rings are doing this, although we've only ever seen 2, actually. We've only ever actually been on 2 halo rings throughout the entire series. Now, as we know, the Forerunners are masters of Slipspace technology. So, is it possible that each one of those pulses was actually a wave of radioactive energy being sent out through the galaxy, except it was in Slipspace? Constantly sending out these pulses of radioactive energy throughout the galaxy in Slipspace. If the halo rings had been doing this ever since they were created, well, first off, it would take 41,000 years for the halo arrays to be an effective weapon to kill everything in the galaxy within a period of time. And considering the intervals are 5 seconds apart from each other, or 5 minutes apart from each other, 5 minutes, that's still a decent chunk of time to move out of the galaxy, but it's a hell of a lot more effective than 41,000 years. Although, again, like I said, it would take 41,000 years for the halo rays to be completely active and destroy all life in the galaxy. So if they had these pulses of radioactivity going through the galaxy through Slipspace, they decided when these radioactive pulses came out of Slipspace, and so all radioactive pulses within the radius of the galaxy came out all at once. It would take essentially 5 minutes for each last successive wave to cover the ground that the previous one had missed where it had come out of Slipspace, which would effectively work. But again, 41,000 years for the halo rays to be fully active, and 5 minutes to kill all life in the galaxy. There's still a chance that the flood could have gotten out by then. A hell of a lot less of a chance, that's for certain, but still a chance. And we're also assuming, but we don't know that much about Slipspace, keep in mind, if this is constantly going through Slipspace, these radioactive pulses, wouldn't it kill everything inside of Slipspace? Unless there are multiple dimensional rifts for Slipspace. That I'm not entirely certain of. But it is completely plausible that they had this tuned to a secret frequency or going through a particular dimension. As we do know for a fact, the Forerunners did find other dimensions, and they often use Slipspace to travel to these other dimensions. The Luminary was one, which was a dimension that was completely made out of nothing but light. So that is completely possible. Other than those 2 explanations, I can't think of a way the halo rings could have actually successfully worked, especially if we're talking about radioactive terms. And there's another problem with the 41,000 years. Aside from it taking 41,000 years to go across the entire galaxy and kill all life, to travel 41,000 light years, which is a distance, and kill all life in the galaxy, the amount of energy that would have to be in that radioactive wave would be unbelievably devastating. So devastating, as a matter of fact, that it would probably actually end up destroying the halo arrays. It's hard to think of a type of material or structure that could withstand that kind of radioactive decay. It would be the equivalent of standing next to a nuclear bomb times 100. And when I say standing next to a nuclear bomb, I mean standing next to where it explodes. Like, here's you, and 5 feet over is the detonation site. So that amount of energy is pretty insane, and what's needed to produce that amount of energy is even more insane. And the materials that are needed to successfully block that kind of radiation is even more insane. So there are 3 factors we have to think about here. That kind of radiation, which would not just destroy all life in the galaxy, but just destroy everything in the galaxy. That's such an enormous amount of radiation. Why do you need that much radiation though? Well, as radiation travels farther and farther, it loses energy. The gamma particles become beta particles, become alpha particles as they go along and along. Things naturally progress to lose energy. That's why when Chernobyl happened, the whole world wasn't affected by radiation. A very large area was affected by radiation, the area of gamma radiation that could exceed, but not the entire world. So, as it goes out, things would lose effectiveness to the point that it became not very potent. Now, what's needed to produce that kind of energy? A star would work relatively well, but more or less it would be a massive star, supernovaing. That would work really, really well. However, those are really hard to come by. Now, we do know that the Forerunners were very, very good astro engineers. They were actually able to move stars, possibly even create stars as far as we know. There was a star on the Ark that was relatively small. We would consider it a white dwarf. Even smaller than that, I believe. And they did even have a star inside Requiem in Halo 4. So the Forerunners are very good astro engineers. That's completely plausible that they could have made stars supernova, but I don't think anybody saw a star in the center of the Halo arrays. Another explanation for that would be, again, Slipspace. They have the star inside a Slipspace structure. The Forerunners are very crafty with their Slipspace, and I'm getting a little bit tired of Slipspace being the answer to everything that they end up doing. However, another alternative to this massive amount of energy and this massive amount of radiation would be the pulses that I was talking about. Every 5 minutes there's a pulse that comes off a halo ring. Well, if this is waves of radiation going through space inside a Slipspace stream, and then at any point in time the halo rays can activate and decide that they are going to release all radioactive waves out from Slipspace, it would take a total of 5 minutes to encompass the entire galaxy. Possibly even less, depending on what the pulses were. If the pulses were on a minute or 2 minutes, it could take a minute or 2 minutes. But 5 minutes, we're just going to say around that, to encompass the entire galaxy within radiation. It would also take much, much, much less energy, because at that point you would only need something that could travel 5 minutes worth the distance of light. So that's less of a distance from here to the sun, not the entire galaxy. That's a massively shorter distance than 41,000 light years. So that's a massively less amount of energy. Possibly something a fusion reactor could generate on side one of the halo rings. So the 5-minute pulse really makes it way more plausible that the halo rings could have actually been a weapon to end all life, just in a span of 5 minutes, not 41,000 years. And once again, to lay this argument to rest completely, because we've had it plenty of times on this stream before, if the halo rays are using radiation, yes, they would kill all life in the galaxy. All life. Nothing would survive. Absolutely nothing. The flood, their food, plants, animals, nothing would survive. If they were using radiation waves powerful enough to kill all sentient life, it would most certainly kill all plants or cause radical mutations. Now, after the detonation of the Halo arrays, what I'm showing you now is from Halo CE Anniversary. This is the HD remake of Halo 1, in case you're unknowing. This is from the terminals inside Halo CE. This is basically Guilty Spark 343, an entire monologue presented by him. Guilty Spark 343 was on installation 07, which is the first Halo ring you come in contact to within Halo CE. Everybody remember that. So this is what happens to him over that period of time leading up to first contact with the humans on the Halo array. And it's really quite interesting. If you want to watch that, I'll have it posted up on my channel alone in its entirety. in the next couple of days after this video is posted, so that if you've never seen it, you can watch it and get the entirety of that. It's a nice little summary of what's kind of happening to the galaxy at the time. Everything's just slowly coming back into order, but I'll go ahead and go through and explain everything that I know that happened. So at about 100,000 BCE, this is known as kind of the end of everything. The following plays out. Mendicant Bias and the Flood fleet breach the Forerunners' defense line and move into the inner Forerunner colonies. Mendicant Bias commands a fleet of almost 5 million ships against Offensive Bias of 10,000. Now, Offensive Bias was another AI that was designed to combat Mendicant Bias when Mendicant Bias was turned by the Flood, if anyone remembers this. We didn't actually talk about Offensive Bias that much because he wasn't that important until the end of the war. The Didact fires the halo arrays, killing all sentient life within 3 radii of the Milky Way's center. Mendicant Bias's organic flood ships are destroyed and by the halo arrays. Offensive Bias now outnumbers Mendicant Bias 6-1, and the battle swings in Offensive Bias's way. So all that's left is technical beings fighting it out. However, if we're using radiation again, I believe something that has that much radiation would naturally have an EMP with it as well. So I don't see exactly how it's only technical beings unless they're outside of the radius of the EMP. However, the EMP blast radius tends to be a lot larger than the effective radius of the radiation. 4 minutes later, the Flood Forerunner war ends. Mendicant Bias AI is shattered by Offensive Bias. Parts end up on the Ark and the Prophet's homeworld, which is very interesting. Sometime soon after 100,000 BCE, it's a fresh start for the galaxy. Species archived by the librarian on the Ark and various shield worlds are returned to their home planets by the surviving Forerunners. The Forerunners exit the galaxy. Humanity is given the keys to the halo arrays in the Forerunners' absence. The whereabouts of the librarian and the Didact are unknown. We do know where the Didact is, though. And then we come to Halo Primordium, which is a book written by Greg Bear. Halo Primordium begins sometime after 2556 with the official of Naval Intelligence capturing a damaged monitor, identifying as a duplicate of 343 Guilty Spark. This version of Spark goes on to recount his personality is based on the ancient human Chakas, and tells the story of how the Didact and a small group of humans recovered Mendicant Bias hijacked Halo 100,000 years earlier. At the novel's climax, the Chakas Spark 343 Spark Monitor seizes control of an Oni ship and sets a course for the librarian's resting place, claiming she is still alive with the spirits of his old friends. The third book in the Forerunner trilogy, we'll get to that in a bit, but it will presumably cover the final months of the Flood Forerunner War, if you have yet to read any of that. And then, of course, we hit 30,000 BCE. Homo sapiens rise to become the dominant species, eventually killing off the Forerunners. Other human species on their journey out of Africa. The Neanderthals are among the last to die out. The second generation of the human civilization emerges from Earth, and then 938 BC, the Prophet Elite War. Somewhere in the galaxy, the Prophets and the Elites already have vast interstellar empires thanks to the knowledge inherited by the precursors and the Forerunners and Mendicant Bias. Humanity has developed numerous civilizations, but it's thousands of years behind on Earth, of course. Because this is technically still before the birth of Christ if you follow a religious timeline. The Prophets and the Elites War begins. In 876 BCE, the Elites abandon their beliefs and begin studying Forerunner artifacts, accelerating their technological development. In 852 BCE, the Covenant are formed. The Prophet and the Elite War ends, and the factions form a union named the Covenant. The Covenant adds further races over the next millennia as they colonize the galaxy. Then, of course, we actually move into actual human timelines. In 1962, Yuri Gagarin, the Russian, becomes the first human in space for 100,000 years. In 2080, humanity's first off-world colony is settled on Mars. So, according to Halo, we're 66 years off. In 2164, humanity forms the United Nations Space Command, the UNSC. The UNSC puts down rebellions on Mars. 2291, humanity masters faster-than-light travel with the Fujikawa Slipspace drive. 2490, humanity has colonized over 800 worlds, including the planets of Reach and Harvest. In 2506, the UNSC abandons Project Orion, the first generation of Spartan super soldiers, because of the expense and time. And in 2511, Master Chief John 117 is born. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this Halo Lore series episode. I am going to leave us off there with the birth of Master Chief, of course. I think that's a really good stopping point before we move anything else. We are going to backtrack a little bit and talk about the more complex things about how the UNSC formed and how the Covenant formed and Mendicant Bias and other parts of the galaxy, of course. But that's a good resting place for now for the next month and a half. That pretty much ellipses everything that happened up after the Halo Rays to the critical point of where things are going to start boiling over, where first contact is made with the Covenant. It's kind of crazy to think that these two entire civilizations could be roaming around in the galaxy and never end up actually meeting each other. Anyway guys, I'm Scout with 3 Guns Down. Please check out all those links for me. Like I said, I would love for you guys to come over to the Twitch and hang out Monday through Friday starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to midnight, and the Twitter and the Facebook as well. Talk to me on there, guys. Ask me questions out there if you don't ever get answered on here. I love to respond to you guys all the time. It's the same as the YouTube. It's the same as the Facebook. It's the same as the Twitter. It's the same as the Twitch. Everything's the same. Facebook.com/3 Guns Down. YouTube 3 Guns Down. Twitter 3 Guns Down. Facebook 3 Guns Down. Twitch 3 Guns Down. It's all the same. So twitch.tv/3 Guns Down. Go check us out there, guys. It's a lot of fun. Love sitting there and talking to everybody. Don't forget to subscribe if you already haven't. More Halo Lore series will be coming on the way. Mid-April is going to be the next Halo Lore series, and by then the Halo Lore series will be completely remade. And of course, by then we'll also have the Dark Souls 2 Lore series started up. Possibly another few other projects in the works right now, but I don't want to give too much away to you guys. Just wanted to let you know that the Dark Souls 2 lore series is coming and the Destiny lore series is coming. And if there's any other lore series you'd possibly want to see, please leave it down in the comments below for me, or put it up on the Facebook, or send me a message on Twitch, or tweet at me, or let me know on Twitch. One of those. Get it out there, because if there's a high demand for a particular lore series that everybody finds really, really interesting, they'd want me to do, I might just do it. As always, guys, leave your questions and comments down below. If there's ever been a question that's been unanswered by me, also leave that in the comments below. There's going to be an episode in the next couple of weeks that's just going to be simple questions and answers about things that have never been answered previously to the detonation of the Halo rings. So all that's going to be covered and put away to bed before we move on into the world of the UNSC, Master Chief, and the Covenant. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm Scout with 3 Guns Down, and I will see you next time on the Halo Lore series.